Hey, hi. How's it going? If you've been here before and you're back for more, I appreciate you to my very core. But if you're new here, welcome. My name is Becca, and I tell your own personal paranormal experiences through short stories. If you have a personal paranormal experience that you'd like me to share and be featured on this channel, make sure to message me on Instagram. The link is in the bio. Without further ado, here is today's story. Genesis, who is currently 16, resides in Tennessee, USA, with her mom, her brother, and her stepdad named David. Now, when Genesis was younger, her parents settled for a divorce, and a few years later, her mom ended up remarrying David, and David raised Genesis and her brother Bubba as his own two kids. David was an extraordinary man. He raised those two kids as his own. He was extremely hardworking. He had a heart of gold. And he was just the type of person that when they walked into a room, they just lit up that entire room. Sadly, very recently, in 2021, right before Christmas, David passed away from heart complications. Now, this was absolutely devastating to the family as the passing was very sudden and unexpected, and they are actually currently still grieving his loss. Now, Genesis is part of the local marching band, and they do a lot of performances throughout the year. A couple weeks has gone by since David's passing, and she has this performance that she needs to do. So even though it's very recently just happened that David's passed, she feels as though this performance will be her performing for David to wherever he is. As David absolutely loved going to Genesis's marching band practices and performances and was always there just cheering her on. So, even though she's absolutely devastated that David won't be there to cheer her on, this is her way of kind of managing and coping with her grief. So, Genesis starts getting ready. She gets into all of her marching band attire, hops in the car, and heads towards where her performance is going to be. Once she arrives, she goes off with her friends, and her mom and her brother sit in the stands. Once the performance had started, she was about halfway through the performance when she looked up in the stands to see her mom. But to her surprise, she saw David. Clear as day. Wasn't an apparition. He literally looked like he was standing in the stands cheering for her. Genesis became completely overwhelmed at that point, but he didn't disappear. So she kept looking at him while continuing with her performance. And she could see everything. She could see his facial expressions. She could see his smile. She could see that he was clapping and cheering for her. But as the marching band progressed past David and the crowd kind of blocked where he was standing, she could no longer see him. So when her performance was over, she instantly ran to where she had seen David. However, when she arrived to the area where she had seen David, he was nowhere to be seen. Genesis ultimately ended up keeping this information to herself as she didn't really want to come off as insensitive to the situation. And after pondering what she had seen, she ultimately made herself believe that she was only seeing what she wanted to see. So she ended up just brushing off the situation that she had experienced. However, a few weeks after what she had experienced, her brother, Bubba, started acting completely out of character. Now, it's important to note that Bubba is severely autistic, so his actions are somewhat predictable. So when Bubba started grabbing all of the dream catchers that David had made them, put them into a pile and started pointing at them saying, "Here, here, here," it freaked out Genesis and her mom. But that's when it clicked for Genesis. A few days after David's passing, Genesis had an extremely vivid dream of David. It was a very short dream, but she just remembers it being a reassuring dream that he's always going to be there for her and that he's no longer in pain and he is at peace. So Genesis took Bubba's extremely out of character behavior as him trying to communicate with them that he too is having dreams of David. So even though this was super out of character for David, they ultimately just shrugged it off and carried on. About a week after Bubba's experience, Genesis had another marching band performance. Now, this performance was the performance of the year. This is the performance that they practiced throughout the year for, and she was super excited for it. As Genesis is performing, she can't help but remember what she saw the last time that she performed. So she glances up to the stands where she sees her mom, she sees her brother, and yet again, she sees David. He was standing directly behind her mom and had placed his hand on her shoulder. At this point, Genesis knew that she hadn't made up seeing David before because she can very clearly see David again. Genesis remembers feeling a sense of peace and just love seeing their family together once again. Following the performance, Genesis met up with her mom and her brother and asked her mom if she had felt anything on her shoulder during the performance. And kind of confused, Genesis' mom's like, "No, why do you ask?" It was at this point Genesis just opened up about the last performance where she saw David and this performance that she saw David. And that's when her mom said that she had also seen David. On her way home from work, she'd look out of her passenger side window and see David either mowing grass, trimming trees, and this was normal as David was a landscaper. Genesis' mom thought she was losing her mind, but now that Genesis has disclosed this information to her, she was just so reassured that she actually had too seen David. To this day, no one has seen David like they did previously. However, all three of them, Genesis, Genesis's mom, and Bubba, continue to have extremely vivid dreams of David. Genesis sees these experiences as David's way of trying to tell them that he is and always will be there for them. If you enjoyed today's recording, please leave a like or a comment. It's super rewarding. Wishing you nothing but a beautifully blissful day. See you all on YouTube on Friday. Bye-bye.